Hi, first-time coders. Today's objective is to understand strings. Okay, so let's start our Jupyter notebook. So it will start in the root directory. So let's go to our folder. And let's start a Python class. So if you remember, in the last class we were discussing variables and data types. So we said a variable store is a name we give to a memory location where we store some kind of value. Now, the value that you store is called a literal value. For example, if we have x equals to 12, then 12 is a literal value. Okay, so if we have y equal to 2.5, then this is a literal float. And this is a literal integer, and this is, yes, you guessed it, literal string. So these values are literals, while the name for the location where they are stored are variables. We call these values literal because we cannot change them. Okay, so for those of you who usually say, I am literally dead. Well, you're not, because if you're literally dead, you'd be dead. Okay, so today we'll discuss in depth what strings do. Okay, so whenever you have a variable stored in a string, you can do a lot of amazing things with it. So for example, the first thing we need to understand is a string is a value containing set of characters. Okay, so for example, if I have hello, so if I have the word hello, so now if you store this value inside a variable, what actually happens is that the variable will store the value in blocks. We will see the name of the blocks later on when we come to arrays and lists. So if we have x, so in the computer what happens is that a space will be given the name x, and then the computer will put hello inside that space. So the first element in the space is 0, the second is 1, the third is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. So if you ask me what is the size of x, of course it is 5, because I will count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the position of each element, because in computer science we count from 0, we give 0 its due respect. So our first position is position 0, and the last position will be position 4, while the size of the variable is 5. So you can do a lot of things to x. So for example, I can choose the value or the first element or the first character by saying x of 0. This will show me what the first character inside the value is. So if you try printing this, you will get h. So let's try our hands on it. So now, for example, I can just print one element of z. So if I say z of 0, if you run this, the computer will print the first element h. I can print a range of elements. I can say print from z 1 to 3, but do not include the third one. So if you do that, that means I'm going to print this 2 here. I will start from 1, but I will reach 3, but I will not include the 3 itself. So if we try that, we will get EL, sorry. Another thing you could do is perhaps you know where to start, but you don't know where to finish, so you can do this. If you leave the space empty, the computer would print everything until the end. So in this case, line 7 is going to print all of this, guys. Okay, so if we try this, we will get that. Okay, so let's try something else. Let's say we have a variable p, and now we are trying to take these values here. We're trying to take these values here and bring them to this place, and take these values here and bring them to this place. So that means we are taking 0 and 1, and we are switching places with 3 and 4, while 2 remains in the middle. So if we go back to our code, we will say, okay, so z from 3 to the end plus z of 2 plus z of the beginning to 2. If you remember, we Python will start from the first number, but it will not include the second number here. So if I say 0 to 1, it will not include e. So that's why we said 0 to 2, so that we have h and e together. Now if you run this, let's print the value. Invalid syntax, z. So you can see the he has come to the beginning and the lo has come to the other end. Okay, you have to understand that inside z itself there are other superpowers. Okay, this e can do a lot of other stuff. Z can do a lot of other stuff because it is a string object. An object in Python or object-oriented programming is a data type that stores some bunch of functions and some bunch of variables. We will discuss what functions are. But for now, think of functions like superpowers for the variable, for the data type. Of course, we know what variables are. So as we said, objects consist of functions and variables. Okay, so like I said, just think of this like superpowers. All right, now these two things form our object. Let's see some of these powers. Now, for example, I can make the string capital letters. So I can say capital. Now I created a variable z dot. To access those powers, use the operator dot with your string. So if I say upper, always remember to put the brackets, because the brackets are what help Python to channel those superpowers from Z. So if you run this, capital now is, let's see what's inside it. You can see all the characters are now capital letters. So to learn more on strings, you can just search in Google. I like w3schools.com is one of my favorite. Link will be in the description below. You can see that you have all the list of functions or superpowers this object has, and each one has an explanation. So let's take something like capitalize. So what does capitalize do? Okay, what does it say here? Method returns string, first character is upper and the rest is lower. Okay, so if we come here and we try it with hello, let's try printing and see. Z capitalized is equal to Z dot capitalized, and then you close. Remember to close the brackets all the time. Then we say print Z. So if you run this, you can see the first letter is capital. Okay, so let's say we have Z is equal to, so you can see the first character is capital while the rest are small letters. Okay, now my favorite is len. So len will give you the size of the character itself. If you say len of Z, sorry, q equal to len of Z. Now if we say q and we run this, we have 20 characters. How do we end up with 20 characters? Well, the space is also a character, so let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so we have 20 characters. So um, you have to understand the fact that the computer saves all these values in uh, in in ones and zeros. Even though they are strings, they are still saved in ones and zeros. So how is that possible? Well, the computer converts every character into digits. So these digits are called ASCII. Okay, let's look for, yeah, still Wikipedia. Okay, so let's go with this. ARM Wikipedia. All right. So if you look at this, you can see that every character in the keyboard has a number representing it. For example, if you take A, A is the same as using the digit 65. If you take small letter A, is the same as saving the digit 97. So these characters are all converted to numbers before they are saved in the computer. So let me give you an example. Now, if you have a character, in this way, print, we can use ORD to know the uh, ASCII representation of the character A. This will show us 97, which is indeed the character representing uh, A. You can use this to your advantage whenever you are coding. You can actually use the characters to represent something, or you can take advantage of the integer values to do some manipulations. Thank you very much, and see you next time.